Welcome. My name is Maggie Beckmeyer. In behalf of the Ohio Auctioneers Association, I have the privilege of speaking with Don Bates.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Who was inducted into the Ohio Hall of Fame in 2011. In my tenure as president,
Yes.
I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
He's joined that prestigious group, and we hope he can share with us some of the highlights from his years as an auctioneer. How many years have you been in the business?
61.
61 wonderful, productive years.
Yes. The hard way.
Well, what path did you do before you, what path did you take before becoming an auctioneer?
I was a head brakeman on a railroad out of Van Wert, Ohio,
Wow.
for 2 years.
So how did it get started becoming an auctioneer?
I started at the age of 12, wanting to be an auctioneer, and I had a pony and a buggy, and I traveled the circuit of auctions and thrashing people back then, selling pop and candy, and I'd go to auctions, sell pop, candy, and I thought, how does this guy talk so fast? I want to do that. That's how it started.
Wow. Well, can you tell us your views on being an auctioneer and being in the auction business and your profession? How large is your staff?
I'm down to 2 people, 2 auctioneers, which are both set-up people.
And I know you had a wonderful wife, Garnet, who was your right arm, wasn't she?
She worked for me for 40 years as my bookkeeper. She quit nursing many, many years ago and went to work for me, with me. And she traveled, whatever state I went to, she was with me.
Wow, that is really neat.
Thank
That
you.
is so wonderful, and I was very privileged to have known her.
I know that.
Auctioneers are specializing these days. What do you have your views on, like the new real estate auctions, benefit auctions?
Well, I turned my license in this year. I was a real estate person since 1954, and I just decided to get out of it.
Of the real estate part?
Yeah.
Do you see changes in our profession?
I see big changes. The online, we were just discussing this.
Mhm.
I'm against it 100%. You know, a competitor of mine does online, and he does very well. But I can't see it, and at my age, I'm not going to get into it.
Do you see changes in the profession of quality or quantity?
Well, there's not. Well, if you'll check the Enquirer paper, there's hardly any ads in there on Sundays anymore. I'm online with auctionzip.com, and I don't advertise in the newspapers at all.
At all?
No, none.
How has the OAA, the Ohio Auctioneers, impacted your career?
Well, let's see. How can I say that? Well, I'm going to go back a few years, if I may, to a competitor, Gar Sample, who's not well, as you know. He got on my case in the 1970s, said, Don, you've got to go to seminars, you've got to go to conventions. And he pushed me into that. I would say, well, you go and come home and tell me what you did. That's what I would do with him. So in 1986, he said, I'm picking you up at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're going to Phoenix for a seminar. And I said, okay, I'll go. Well, I was hooked. I have been to many, many seminars and many, many conventions over the years.
I know you do. We don't have continuing education for the auctioneers. How do you feel about that?
I think it's poor judgment.
You think we should have?
I certainly do, even at my age.
Are you a member of the National Auctioneers?
Yes, since '74.
Have you held office in any of the organizations?
No,
Did you ever serve on the auction commission?
no. I tried in the '80s and the '90s, but it didn't work.
The public knows the chant of the auctioneer, but then the next question is, what do you sell? What's the most unusual item you've ever sold?
Well, unusual covers a lot of ground. When I was with Joseph P. Day, New York, that was in the '60s.
Mm-hmm.
We did Army, Navy, Air Force, surplus, atomic energy. I did some big auctions. But now that I'm slowing down right now, I'm doing a few estates, but I have 8 accounts of storage. The Storage Wars, which you've probably seen the show.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bunch of dumb stuff, but that's beside the point. But that's what I'm concentrating on right now. Now it keeps me busy.
Well, I know you're about to get your book published, so you need to tell us about that and the advice you'd have for new auctioneers coming on.
The new advice, well, my 3 words is ethics and education, meaning seminars, conventions for these new people to go to. But when I first started out, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to go to all these places. So as the money came in better, then I would go to more seminars. And I taught for the National for many years on conventions. And then I was at Repert School for 10 years teaching. That was the highlight, really, to place me in the value of auctioneers, I think. Because Phil Neischwander owned the school then. And he hired me. They would blackball me. The instructors would blackball me because they didn't want any new guys on the market, right? And then in '96, he said, "I'm going to sell the school," and we closed it. Ended up with him in '96. I was going to buy the school, move it to Cincinnati. Not a lot of people know this. I had a stroke in '96, October. Well, that put the caboose to me buying the school. And then they sold it to Cruzy Brothers. Yeah. And I hated it ever since, but I got lucky. And in fact, that happened in October. And in January, I begged my wife to take me to the Ohio Convention because I felt I should be there. So that's the way it happened.
Thank you. Well, you know, auctioneering is the last free enterprise, as you and I truly believe. And I'm real fascinated about your book. I just think that's so exciting.
I worked on it for 3 years, and as I said, it just came in the mail this morning, the manuscript. It's got 22,000 words of everything that I did, the good and the bad, of the auction profession.
That's really good.
And the title is The Last Bid Is Yours. And I'm going to be at the convention in January, and I'm going to get a vendor's booth to try to sell a few.
Good.
$19.95 a piece.
Wow. Well, and you'll autograph all of them.
I certainly would.
Tell them about the whoever told you you'd never be an auctioneer. What was that? Tell that story.
Let me think here. The first week in school. Now this was August '51. After the first week, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He was a head instructor. And I got my money from the GI Bill to go to school, which was $400 back then. After the first week, he said, "Don, here's your check, pack your gear. You're not going to make it." And I said, whoa, let's back up here. I'm not leaving. That's how it happened.
And you certainly showed them, haven't you?
I believe I did.
Yes.
44 states in Canada. Can you beat that, Maggie?
No, you're very amazing, and I think that's really an excitement. And we always say, well, what do you have to add? I think just you.
I don't know what to add at this point. Now, how much longer can I do this? See, these buildings that I do with storage,
yes, sir.
I'm climbing stair steps. It's getting tough.
Somehow I don't believe that. But
Harry Howard has been, I took him out of school in '93. And he's with me now, and if I can't climb steps, he does it.
That's wonderful. I just want to thank you, Don. This is Don Bates with the Ohio Auctioneers, inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
In 2011, and we are so fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
In our profession.
That was on my bucket list. That was on my bucket list too.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.